Good evening and welcome to VI Voices. I'm Emil Henderson III along with Clint Ferris, Boyd McFarlane, and Yoki Hanley. Tonight we'll continue our election coverage as we have with us Novelle Francis Jr., who is seeking a seat in the 31st Legislature of the Virgin Islands. And so he's been here before, and we'll talk a bit more about him now that he's actually going into the general election on November 4th. But before we get to him, we will discuss some hot topic issues, as we usually do on our show, beginning first with the reprieve that the Juan F. Louis Hospital and Medical Center has received from CMS that allows them for at least the next 9 months to continue to have the reimbursements from CMS for Medicare recipients. So they've allowed an extension of 9 months.
9 months or 6 weeks?
No, 9 months. 9 months.
Okay.
For them to be able to get, I guess, their issues in order. I guess they'll revisit it after the 9 month period. What are your thoughts on that?
Honestly, I thought if CMS is gonna do this, and the hospital is important to us. We want to make sure it remains solvent and it continues to improve. However, if I was CMS, I would have put some conditions in place. One, I would have asked for the leadership of the hospital to change within a certain time frame, because I don't have faith in the present leadership of the hospital, because it's not the board that committed all of these errors. It's the leadership team that allow a lot of these things to continue to take place, i.e. Dr. Griffith. I don't think he's the right man for the job, and I would have liked to see that. What are we delaying? Are we delaying the inevitable? Are we going to see, is this going to be a cyclical kind of thing within the Virgin Islands that, okay, yes, a reprieve has been granted, but are they going to have the resources? Are they really going to have is there going to be some, are they going to have the push to get all of these things done and sustain them, not just for 9 months, not for a year, but are they going to sustain them for long term and for the betterment of the Virgin Islands people?
I would assume that they would put, that they have put in some stipulations. I don't know if they put anything out to the public stating what it is that they're looking for, you know, but I'm sure that they have stipulations.
No, but
I'm sure they do have stipulations.
They have some stipulations, but the stipulation I'm talking about is a change in the leadership
You never
of
know. That
Juan
might
F.
be
Louis.
that might be one. You never know. I mean, like I said, it hasn't come out to the public yet. Just that, you know.
And I'm going to get it straight here. It's not I'm anti-Dr. Griffith.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Griffith is one of us, but I don't think Dr. Griffith has
Management skills.
No, it's that when you're sick, you go to the doctor. If you need, the hospital is not in need of a doctor, it's in need of an administrator to run Juan F. Louis. Dr. Griffith is not an administrator, he's a physician. That's his task. He has a private practice that he runs. He has responsibilities as a physician within the hospital. He also now has the responsibility of being a macro manager. And being a macro manager isn't just about delegating your responsibilities. Being a macro manager allows you to look and start to strategically plan and look at all of those areas in a broad sense. And I think Dr. Griffith does not have the capacity right now. Can he have it? Will he have it in the future? Maybe, but not right now. We don't need Dr. Griffith there. We need a fixer, come in, fix Juan F. Louis, then pass it on to someone who will take it for long.
We had a fixer in the past, and the people complain about the fixer or his
Because-
methods of doing so.
because
So-
our
so
leaders-
who do we bring now?
No.
Who we gonna bring now to fix anything, and how we gonna afford to pay them to
It's
fix
not
anything?
a matter
First
of
all.
a fixer. What you need is somebody who is trained in healthcare administration, period. Because let's be real about it. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot run the hospital and still think that you're going to have a practice at the same time.
And where's the
You
checks
have-
and balances?
Right. So you have to give up one. Now, like I said, I've never had any cause to go to Dr. Griffith, so I can attest to his you know, how he is as a doctor. But I hear from everyone that he's a good doctor. But not everyone is an administrator, and obviously he's showing what has happened in the past couple of years, you know, with the accidental deaths and so forth. You know, that as an administrator, his grade should be an F. And as such, then we don't reward somebody who has failed as an administrator to now give them the permanent position as CEO of the hospital.
And if I may add this, I cannot say then Dr. Griffith leave his private practice and come and run the hospital. No. He is best served as a cardiologist. He best serves the community as a physician. That's his greatest strength. We cannot remove one of our better physicians and say put him to run the hospital. No. There are people that can run the hospital. This is not his intelligence. His intelligence is being a cardiologist, a physician. That's his strength. Do that. bring somebody in to run the hospital.
I agree with you, and I'm not defending Dr. Griffith in any way or any shape or anyhow. But what I am saying is that I don't know the particulars about what happened there. We do know the results of the CMS, and we could go accordingly. But to say who are we gonna bring in, and how are we gonna make it attractive to them to come in to
I'm
do
sure
that
we
or to
have
do that
people
position?
locally who here who have the training and even the background in healthcare administration that we can think. Why? This is my thing. Why do we have to assume that we have to bring somebody from outside? Has anybody taken the time to
Because
poll
the
to see?
hospital, I'm not assuming anything about bringing in anything. What I'm saying is that the hospital been in the situation that it's been in for years. From 2009, 2010, up to 2011, you're hearing about these issues. And it had people come and it had people go.
But
Local people from here who running it. And that's how come I'm talking about bringing in. So, I mean, who's willing to take the task at hand? Who's willing to
And
step
it's a
up?
daunting task.
Yes, correct. It's a
Exactly.
daunting. But can I ask a question? Doesn't former Senator Usi Richards has a master's in
Yes,
health,
she does.
public health administration or something like that?
Yeah.
Because I remember reading
That's
that
what his-
way
that's
back
what
when.
his degree is in.
Is
It's
it?
in health
So
administration.
do we have people here with that background that have studied that field? Even the problem with managing you can also use somebody that have with transferable skills, because somebody that can run a university can also run a hospital, because you may not think they have the same it's a
Skill
different
sets,
building,
right.
but they have a similar skill set. Because in essence, you don't want a professor to be running a university. You really want somebody who's been taught in higher education administration that can see the broad picture to run a university. And that's the challenge. We need to bring it. But I'm going to say this. Let's go back to leadership. There were 4 senators that when all of this thing started to take place with Wang F. Louis 2 years ago, that threatened to disband the board.
That's correct. I
They
remember that.
threatened to disband the board. And they too are still in power. Senator Chucky Hansen, Senator Capehart, Senator Gittins, and I think Senator Sanders, and Hansen.
He was
So
very
Hansen,
successful.
Capehart, Gittins, and somebody else.
I don't remember.
But those are the 4 of them that made the mention that they're going to dismantle the board. Where are they right now to comment on this? To say, wait a minute, egg is on our face. Because the board at that time and the board chairman was not wrong. She was not wrong, and the 2 persons that resigned at that time were not wrong. They basically said things are not right. We took his resignation, but we need to go forward. Look at that. We are spending more money to fix a problem that we should have addressed 2 years ago.
And they were vilified
Yes,
by these very same people.
Correct.
For doing that.
so the Wang F.
So
Louis
they're
isn't
trying to
just
play
Kendall
politics.
Griffith's fault. Isn't just Kendall Griffith's fault. It's also the administration fault. Governor DeYoung fault. All of those people that said 2 years ago we supported him unequivocally, and they had nothing to sustain why they were supporting him.
Politics.
And they then through Key Walker, and I forgot it was Mr. Fair who resigned too, or somebody else.
I think so.
Fair-
It's on, right?
Yeah.
Dizon, yeah. What
So
Dizon?
they resigned, and those were the ones who had the date,
And
who
those are the ones they
understand,
targeted to leave
they
the
understood the problem with Wang F. Louis.
And not only understood, took a stand as well, and I commend them both for doing so. But
Yeah.
my thing is, where do we go from here? That's my thing. Where do
Where-
we go from here?
if
How
we
do
have
we
to bring
address
a
this
fix
situation?
up-
Because
Important to know is
because
to
we
know
got
what
9
their
months to do
plan is.
so. I mean,
Exactly.
yeah, that
We
is
don't
very
know what
important.
we
We don't know
discussed
the
with
But
CMS.
it's-
all they're
and what
talking
they're
about
gonna
is
do.
support for the staff and for the hospital.
and
But
but
you
all-
don't support
but-
what? What
but
you gonna
they-
support if you don't know?
Yeah, but they're also talking about hiring back out the LPNs and the
CNs,
CNAs. My thing about it is, okay, you got rid of them. Have those LPN and CNAs that you got rid of, did they do anything the last 2 years to that they can move to be an RN? So you have to make sure that you don't just undo a lot of the things. That just
Obviously, that's what they're doing, because they're not saying that, that why they were let go before under the previous CEO's tenure, that was a condition of them coming back, is that they were going to move up to being RNs. So obviously we can say that whatever strides that they took before has been erased. So they've gone back to before that.
so that's the problem. So we could throw money at the problem,
Dang it,
that it will not
It's not
work.
gonna work.
but never work.
But that's why it's important to see, as a result of this last meeting that they had, where CMS agreed to give the 9-month extension, what are the things that were put in place for them to make during this 9-month period? We don't know that yet, because I don't think they've had any explanation.
Will we know
That's
it?
what-
But
are we gonna
right,
ever
the
know
question
that?
is, will
That's
we?
the question.
But I'm going to say this. one, you're gonna have to. I'm gonna assume this, that somehow you have to, because of the political. It's been a political year. I think that's one of the reasons why CMS changed course. Some big favors were called in to change course because you didn't want the eggs to be in face of any of the major players who are really running for office right now. And I think that's one of the reasons why you saw a course correction
I don't want to
by
say
CMS.
that. I want to believe that the humanity kicked in and realized that, because this is our only
Impact.
acute right, it would be catastrophic to the island if this hospital were to shut down in 2 days.
Yeah.
Basically in 2 days' time. That's what I really want to believe, because
And they weren't going to
Big
shut them down.
Guns,
They weren't
Big
going to shut down.
Guns should have been able to do something
Those bullets,
2
yeah.
years ago when all of this started, when we had the people who were coming and leaving and coming back and dying according to the reports. You understand? The fetuses that were being thrown away like trash. That's when the big guns them should have been called to fix the issues in the hospital.
I'm telling you, that's when political pressure should have come to bear.
Exactly.
Not just a few months, a few weeks ago, a few days ago. This should have been happening a year ago, 2 years ago. And that's where the problem lies. So I'm just telling you, yes, political pressure to me came to bear at the national level to let do this. But I'm going to say, yes, he called some favors in. Let's see what happens going forward. I don't want Wong F. Louis to fail. But I do believe Dr. Griffith cannot be steering the ship going forward. That is just not right. We're gonna continue to go through this cycle over and over again. And if we don't change leadership, bring a person in to fix Wang F. Louis, make the tough decisions, streamline, cut, improve the quality of healthcare, and move forward, then we're gonna have a
Is
challenge.
that fair to talk about big guns? Suppose big guns had no knowledge about what was happening.
Then you have.
Big guns
But we don't know that. What we know what big guns know?
I really believe that it was based on humanity and the catastrophic event that would have happened had the hospital shut down in 2 days' time. That somebody was finally able to make that impassioned plea to them, and they said, you know what? Okay, we're gonna give you this. Because how many chances? Let's be real. How many chances has CMS given the hospital?
Quite a bit.
Quite a bit. So telling me, so how much time have we pleaded on the humanity of CMS? Too many times. So you're telling me, I don't think it's humanity, political pressure. Let's call it what it is. Political pressure.
That's interesting.
Analyze it.
That you would think that that's what it is, but I'm with you. Okay, I'm in the middle of the two of you. I do think that there may have been some political pressure, but I do honestly believe that it would be catastrophic for the only acute care facility would not be able to be reimbursed and provide the kind of care that would be necessary
Correct.
for the Virgin Islands. It's not like you go to another hospital or a private hospital. This is the only hospital that we have.
Exactly.
And so I think that plays a major role on it. But leadership is the issue. And we got to look at that and determine what the leadership would be. And in so doing, go ahead.
And I'm not just leadership at the Wang F. Louis. Leadership in our facets of government. Because
Absolutely.
the leadership in the legislature and in government house exacerbated this particular
I agree
problem.
with
Well,
that.
let's hope that when we go to the polls to vote on November 4th, that we remember that.
I may see new leadership. Well, tonight we're going to talk about that because we have with us Novelle Francis Jr., who is seeking a seat in the 31st legislature of the Virgin Islands, and we'll talk with him when we get back. Back in a moment. And welcome back to Valley Voices. We have with us tonight Novelle Francis Jr., who, as I said earlier, is seeking a seat in the 31st legislature of the Virgin Islands. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Right. This is not your first time here. You were here for the primary portion,
Yes.
right?
So congratulations.
And so congratulations on making it into the general election. Congratulations to you. I think you were number 2?
Number 2, yes. Thank you very much.
Number 2. Well, I would like to think it's because of our show that you did so well. But talk to me a little bit about, now that you've gone full swing into the general election, have you done anything to now, because before you were speaking to Democrats, now you're speaking to everyone who's going to come in there.
Right.
What have you done now as you're going forward for November 4th that you think may have been a little bit different than what you were doing in the primary?
Very good question, and one of the things several things I've been doing. First of all, I've been going out and do a lot more canvassing
in our neighborhoods and speaking to the citizens of St. Croix and getting their input and in terms of some of the challenges that they're experiencing, as well as some of their recommendations and suggestions of how we could really address some of the issues that we're confronted with in this community. I've also met with a number of different groups, civic groups, organizations, some of the doctors, attorneys in some instances, and to get a good handle and a good grasp of some of the challenges that they're up against, because there are a lot of challenges in this community.
Former Commissioner Novelle Francis, one of the things I think people are going to say about you is that you are part of the De Young administration, and an administration that many people are going to label as a failure. And what do you say about that? What do you have to offer to counter that you are part of that particular administration?
Well, I'm hoping that they won't just identify me as being a part of the Young administration, but rather that they'll associate me with Governor Alexander Farrelly and Charles Turnbull, Dr. Snyder, and of course then John De Young. And I would say that I've been able to work with 4 of these governors and 4 of them with different management style. And certainly, my assignment with Governor De Young was one that afforded me an opportunity to be assistant commissioner and then commissioner. There's certain things that I like about his management styles and certain things I didn't like. When I thought that I was being pushed to the point that I couldn't handle it no more, I opted out of it again to save myself so that I could come back and fight another day.
Okay, understood.
Commissioner, last time you've been here, well, I can go straight at it. The issue regarding the medical school. The last time you've been here, I asked you a question about St. Croix. You're working with senators, or what you're going to do if you have a plan in terms of working with senators and getting St. Croix ahead, or getting the St. Croix agenda pushed forward, as opposed to what's been happening historically with St. Thomas taking everything and running with it. I think your answer was something about getting together with some of your colleagues, or getting together with some of them who've already been in there and speaking to them and organizing or forming a team so we could go with a St. Croix agenda. Have you been able to do that? And how is that looking? Absolutely. I think it's very critical as we go into this next legislature, the 31st legislature, that we are able to push St. Croix agenda forward. Absolutely. There is no wavering in that. And as a result of that, I've been speaking with a number of the candidates as well as the current senators, because I think it's critical that we create a synergy at this point that could truly get us working together as we take on this new legislature. So it's important, it's a priority for me, because certainly it's something that has to be done. St. Croix is the child that's hurting the most and needs the most attention at this point. And when we talk about the most attention, we're not talking about equal at this point. We need the lion's share because we're so far behind.
No, I think your campaign tagline is focus forward.
Yes.
Now, what are some of the things that you're focusing forward on? And what are they, and what solutions do you hope to bring about for some of those things?
Very good point. I think a lot of time we see that individuals that's running for office spend a lot of time talking about just the problems, some of the issues, the blame game. Yeah, I don't want to be a part of that. Certainly, I want to be a part of a progressive team that could move us forward. So my tagline is that focus forward. We want to look at those critical issues that need to be put in place and addressed as we take on this next year. I think we have the greatest opportunity, a unique opportunity, because we get to elect a new governor. We get to elect a legislature that will give St. Croix the presidency. We get to elect a new delegate, and we get to push the agenda forward for St. Croix. So I believe that if we don't elect individuals here that could truly work and focus on the St. Croix agenda, then we can't move forward. I think we have lost it all.
Economy. What's your number one economic item that you're gonna push forward in the legislature, hope to get passed, and what's that?
I have a twofold approach to our economy. First of all, I want to incentivize small businesses. I'm a small business partner myself. I want to see us be able to give them similar benefits to some of the EDC companies that come here. They're the one that pay the taxes in this community. They're the one that keeps us afloat, and I want to make sure that we incentivize them and keep the doors open. I think that any new businesses that's coming forward, I want to move a legislation that will give them tax amnesty at least for the first year. I believe that the challenges that we're up against is and the two evil in our community is, one, the energy costs, and 2, taxes. So I want to also take a look at the reform of our gross receipt taxes, for example. You know, a lot of businesses are going out as a result of gross receipt taxes. Excise tax as well, and you know, we have things that sit on our shelves for months and months and months, and sometimes expire where we have already paid for. You know, I see that sometimes we pay 2 and 3 times in terms of gross receipts and excise tax. So I truly believe that we need reform. And in addition to
Isn't there
that,
a program already that provides for amnesty for businesses that start off, that they would get some amnesty for any taxes that they have to pay?
I'm not certain if there's such a program. I know that for EDC companies, there are those type of programs. I'm not aware of it for local entrepreneurs. And that's where my focus will be in terms of ensuring that they get equal share to what's being provided for, or similar as what's being provided for EDC companies. All right. So I lost my train of thought there, but that's okay. You know, but I think the critical thing is that when you talk about and the other side is that we have to go out and start to market the Virgin Islands and market St. Croix. You know, separately, I want to earmark $2 million for us to come up with a branding. I think a lot of times when we go, I've been to the FCC and Florida Cruise Line, and what they talk about is there's no branding for St. Croix. You know, I'm not going to determine what that branding should be, but I want to earmark $2 million a year, and I have a funding source for it, where we're actually able to get the executive branch to determine what that branding would be, so that when we start to market St. Croix, we could truly start to, see things focus on St. Croix and create some export, so that we could have made in the Virgin Islands and get things that will be exported out.
Everybody talk about that Commissioner Doty has been doing a very good job, and I'm one of those people who said, what you guys are talking about? The only thing she has done is whole serve.
Is what?
Whole serve. Because it's still the status quo. It's still tourism, and we're still putting cruise ship tourism. There's no capacity growing in the tourism industry in terms of hotels, bed and breakfast. I'm not seeing even any renovation taking place at any of the attractions throughout the island, whether it's here or St. Thomas. So, what are this legislature going to be doing something different in terms of maybe setting some goals for the Department of Tourism? Instead of, because they come before the legislature, you see their budget, is there going to be some goals set in all of this when we do budgeting and when we move forward in the legislature?
I think our discussion have been when I meet as a caucus with other senatorial candidates, is that we want to move towards sports tourism. For example, on ecotourism, we want to be able to market and show what we have here. And I think that we can't hold Commissioner Doty responsible for that. Her job is based on the mandate that she gets from her superiors, and she go out and get that done. I think that the onus is on the locally. How do we then market that information? How do we then be able to attract those people that she went out and captured? I think that she has done a very good job in terms of being able to bring airlifts. While most of those things are in St. Thomas, I think St. Croix now have to increase the infrastructure would allow that to happen.
What is the point of having these increased airlifts and nobody can afford to come here?
Yes.
Because you have Delta coming back, you have some other airlines, but it's $1,500 to come here.
Yes.
So what's the point of having airlifts if nobody can afford to fly to the territory?
Yes.
And that seems to me to be a problem.
That is a problem.
And I don't understand why it costs more money to fly here than it is to go to Thailand. I just don't get that. I will never get that.
Well, and that issue is for St. Croix specifically,
Yes,
because
it
when you go to
is.
St. Thomas, you don't see that. Even to fly from St. Croix to St. Thomas,
It's almost
$300.
But
Unbelievable.
But may I ask the question again? Ms. Doty is the Commissioner of Tourism for the Virgin Islands, not the Commissioner of Tourism for St. Thomas.
Right.
Is in those issues she should be leading, and maybe even bringing incentive programs to the legislature to endorse.
Yes.
Well, remember, she also sits on the Port Authority Board. And so that's a place. But let's not talk about her. Because she's running for it.
Correct.
So tell me now, a little bit now about, let's talk about crime, which is a big thing, because you were commissioner of police.
Yes.
And during your time, we had like astronomical crime rate, right? What do you attribute to that? And as a senator, now not if you are to become a senator and you're no longer the police chief, the commissioner of police, what do you have set in plans to ensure that we can reduce our crime rate?
Well, let me.
Other than to increase penalties and send people to jail.
Oh no, well, that's not my focus. But truly, I think that when you look at my role as police commissioner, I'm not sure if you're making reference to crime being astronomical, like you call it, was when I was police commissioner or when I was in police chief capacity. And certainly we have different responsibilities. As the police chief, I had the responsibility for the day-to-day operations on the streets. So then you could hold me accountable for crime there. As the police commissioner, my responsibility, again, I had the overall, and I don't want to ever try to evade that. But as police commissioner, my job was to go out and provide the necessary funding as well as the equipment so that the officers could get their job done. And I think that I worked hard in doing that. I think that we had one of the largest budgets that we've seen. When I became the police commissioner back in 2009, the barn door had already been opened. There was crime that was happening, and my focus was again to clean up the police department internally and externally. We had a lot of in-house problems that we experienced under my watch. You saw where there was a lot of officer that was disciplined because there was a number of corruption issues that was involved in that. So I took on that responsibility to clean from inside out, because we needed to build our image within the police department if we were going to get our customers, being the community, to actually again regain the confidence of the police department. All right, so I worked feverishly in making that happen. Again, there was a lot of things that was outside of my purview as well. We had issues with the judges where they were releasing criminals back onto the streets, and that was one of the issues that I took up with judges. I felt that there was bringing these individuals back onto the street to either kill again or for them to be killed.
Now, let me stop you right there, because I have to disagree with you on that.
Yes.
And I have to disagree with you because it's easy to blame the judges, okay? And you can't really blame them because judges are supposed to follow the law.
Right.
And the law is, everybody, at least in the Virgin Islands, everybody has a right to bail,
right, unless
you're charged with first-degree murder, and the presumption is great and the evidence is great, right?
Or
even those people who are charged with first-degree murder,
unless they're a danger to the community.
Well, no. You get bail, and the judge can sit and set parameters for them. Mm-hmm. But my point is, when people complain about the courts sending people back or whatever, a couple things have to go with that. Every person that comes before the court on a bail decision it's as new to that person. If the AG's office knows that this person has 4 other matters, it is the AG's job to tell the court, look, this person has 4 other matters, or to go file in those pending matters revocations of their conditions of release that the court can then say, oh, okay, let me take you back. They never do that. They rarely ever do that. And so it's not fair. I only say that to say that it's not fair to say that the judges are the ones that are sending people back, because that's not accurate. They're complying with the law, and as the prosecutor, their job is, if I know that this individual has 4 pending cases and this is number 5, to bring to the court's attention, this is the 5th case that they have, immediately go file revocations in the other 4 and tell the courts revoke those people's
well, in a number of instances that I saw was individuals that had been arrested for gun crimes or crime of violence, mm-hmm. again, that was allowed to usurp the detention process and be let out onto the street, even though there was strong discouragement from doing that. And when they got back out, they were killed.
But the law mandates that they get bail.
Okay,
and the court can only.
But the end result.
But the end result is what it is.
Okay.
But it's unfair to say that the end result of somebody getting killed or killing somebody else is because the judge let them out.
Well, I'll tell you that when the judge started to actually make it a little bit more difficult for these individuals to be released, we saw that the survival rate was a lot greater on their part. But moving away from that, because again, I'm not an enforcer as we go forward. My responsibility in the Senate will be as a senator, mm-hmm. to again come up with legislation, and my focus will be on crime prevention issues. And second chance program, again, getting those nonviolent individuals and those people be prepared to re-enter and reintegrate into our community by focusing and creating oversight of crime prevention programs. I think it's necessary that we start to look at what happens in terms of rehabilitation so that we could start to prepare individuals from coming out of jail. Equally, we need to prevent the crime from happening in the first place. So certainly I want to transition from being the arresting officer and then now going into the prevention of crime.
Yeah,
Now-
Mr. Francis, what's, in your opinion, what's the root cause of crime in the Virgin Islands?
There's a number of root causes. I think poverty
More than
and
one?
socioeconomics is certainly a part of it. Undereducation is another part of it. And those are the two biggest issues that I believe is a part of crime, that causes crime, root cause of crime.
Now, you mentioned corruption.
Yes.
What is going to be your stance as you're going in there to deal with the issues regarding the blatant corruption we've had in our community over these last recent years?
Zero tolerance. I think that what I want to do, not that I think, I know that what I want to do is to create legislation that, again, first of all, I think that we need to bring back the Inspector General's office at the federal level. We need to create local anti-corruption laws as well, and I have some already drafted, and they want, start to hold people accountable and make examples of them. That's the only way we're going to start to show in this community that it's unacceptable, by being able to burn a few people there. And as you say, we see corruption here, and it's costly. It's costing us hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars.
So are you going to say that legislation is going to start, that is going to encapsulate members of the legislature as well? Are we going to start there, where we need put up some ethics laws? All of those things, conflict, are we going to start in the legislature and at the head of government to make sure we strengthen those loose laws, to make sure those things are clear to these leaders sitting there?
Clearly it's necessary, and even though I'll tell you that doing my research on it, I have inquired about some of the policies and procedures that's available at the legislature right now. And believe it or not, even though we have such a structure of the first branch of government, a lot of that is lacking. So clearly, I have my work cut out for me, as well as the other candidates or the other senators that will be elected, in terms of agreeing on what those policies and procedures should be. To be able to start to put anti-corruption laws in place, and we have to lead by example.
I see clearly. I hear you wrote it with policy and procedures. Some of us are looking for legislation instead of laws. Instead of the legislature creating policies that every 2 years they change, laws that are on the books that says clearly a senator must divulge blah 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 blah. These are the rules of conduct for the for all leaders in the Virgin Islands. Those are things we're looking for that continues to evade the people of the Virgin Islands.
The first thing I talked about was legislation, anti-corruption legislation.
Correct.
I mean, and you were specific in terms of the
Policy,
Senate,
okay.
and in terms of ensuring that they have policies as well.
Correct.
But the legislation will be for everyone, of
For everyone.
course.
Okay,
Yes.
cool.
Good. As I was going to ask you before, we've had some prison transfers lately of 78 people to leave the territory. And it baffles me that we're going to now pay for 78 people to be in the States. And I know the reason for that was to ensure that there's some compliance with the consent decree. Could we not have looked at our prison system, see those people who have been nonviolent offenders, who may have completed most of their terms, and commute them out? As opposed to now having to pay for people to be in the United States to the tune of thousands of dollars when we are claiming we have no money.
I see far too often where we're crisis managers, that we
Right.
wait until a crisis happen in order for us to address the problem.
Yeah.
Clearly, I believe that there's a lot that could have been done to address that particular issue. They make excuses that it'd be cheaper and all these type of things, but here it is that we take away an opportunity to put people to work. We take away an opportunity to actually release individuals and lower the cost of it. And I truly believe that could have been better handled, but because it was in a crisis mode, they saw that the only way out was to send them away, which is unfortunate and should not have happened.
I agree.
Do you think about having some kind of special legislation in place or some kind of an incentive towards businesses to hire these guys as opposed to the high recidivist rate which we have?
Right.
What do you think about bringing forth some kind of legislation to do so, to give businesses some kind of incentive that they will get from the government to hire maybe someone to come out of prison? You think that's a good plan? Or?
One of the things I have on my platform is a second chance program. I believe that if we could start to reintegrate these individuals back into the community by one of the most critical things is employment. Once they come back out, we can't just put them back into the same environment that got them into jail in the first place. So yes, we want to incentivize businesses or whatever, and those non-violent, non-financial issues, and we certainly will have to come up with the box by which those individuals be allowed, because it'd be hard as an employer to just hire someone like that. So yes, I strongly encourage legislation that will be able to incorporate these inmates or releasees back into our community.
As we're running out of time, actually we've run out of time, I would like for you to share with everyone where they can find you, what your, where, if they have more questions for you,
Yes.
And let us know what your number is on the ballot.
Well, let me first of all thank you. Thank this panel for being here and VI Voices for this opportunity once again. And I agree with you that I believe that my showing here added to.
I think so. I really do.
I agree with you on that, because I got a lot of kudos from it. Some blows as well, but certainly some kudos. I'm located. I have a campaign headquarters down at 140B St. George's. It's right across from the Mountain gas station. I'm available on the website, NovelleFrancis2014.org. And of course, I'm also available on Facebook. I'm number 19. I'm running as a Democrat in the general election.
All right. Thank you so very much. We'll be back in a moment. And welcome back to VI Voices. We have with us Novelle Francis Jr., who is seeking a seat in 31st Legislature. He's number 19 on the ballot, and had a good discussion with him and where he's going and what he wants to do if he is elected as a senator. As you know, he's a former police commissioner and police chief, and worked his way up the ranks to that position. And one would think that primarily his issues would be issues of crime, and that's what he knows. And he's talked a lot about getting around and getting the recidivism rate down.
Correct.
Brought some good ideas about the program that you asked, which I think is an extremely important program.
Very important.
Because it doesn't. You have a high recidivism when people can't get jobs.
Oftentimes that'll be the case.
And then go ahead.
You sure?
Go. Okay. You know what I really wanted to add to that, because when Mr. Francis mentioned that's maybe something he wanted to add. The government already do some of those programs already. The only thing, they have it for different populations. Mm-hmm. Like you have it for low income, like TANF.
Right.
And seniors, which I work with. And so those programs are already there. You just maybe can just dust it off.
And need some funding.
And apply it to them. And because the one thing you're going to need with those programs is case management. Because you're going to definitely have to manage those cases, because you're really trying to reintegrate them. They're going to have some issues. You're going to have to really work on the whole person, not just trying to get them employed.
And yeah, you can start from in the prison too. I mean,
Correct.
If you have things or programs in place in the prisons that will help them to actually rehabilitate them. Because I don't know, I did a study like in YRC years ago. This is like over 10 years ago, and I think the rehabilitation aspect of YRC was like 5% to non-exist. Yeah, 2 to 5%. I mean, hardly anybody that goes through there. As a matter of fact, they become hardened criminals.
But because it's not treated as a rehabilitation center. It's
But they're not rehabilitated, and there's no programs in place to do so, including Golden Grove.
But you see, the thing about it is the most important thing with the start data collection, tracking all of these clients. I'm going to tell you one thing we do abysmally, abhorrently wrong here in the Virgin Islands is track and keep data. How do we know what's taking place with this population? Do we track them? By tracking them, we can then provide the necessary service and even come up with a plan with the social workers who are supposed to be working with these children and the teachers, because your social worker manages the case for these patients in YRC, and then you have teachers who actually do the teaching and rehabilitation in terms of educational program. So
Wouldn't part of it be is just that there's no funding, and then I mean,
that's
this,
it.
this,
No,
this
I'm-
administration went
no.
on a cutting spree.
no, I'm tired of they telling me there's no funding. We have funding to give raises in government when there's no money.
I'm
We
not
have-
saying no.
funding for
But-
those programs.
Right, and
that
I'm
we're
not
talking
saying I'm
about.
not saying that there's not any funding. I'm just
Okay.
saying that they're not funding
Fund
it
it, right.
as
Correct.
they should. The
You're
same
right.
staffing.
Understood.
That's what
Yes.
we say that this administration went on a cutting spree.
And that's what they do. Then they're putting the monies. And if you think about it, one thing that this government has cut, this administration has cut, is a lot of social services. I work in human services. A lot of our programs that cut, and these are programs like that serves the elderly,
Serve the children.
serve the children. But if we think about elderly, they had 2 facilities open 5 days a week. One is Christian Center, one is then they merged the two to make one. Then they cut the hours to just 2 days a week.
So they have nowhere to go.
So,
That's
so
a lot.
those are the
So
challenges
we gotta-
we face in the government. We cut a lot of services.
Now, as you know, I won't be here for the next couple of weeks.
So I'm in charge.
All right.
And so, I don't know, Nikki will decide who's in charge. So I want to do a little wrap up about who all we've interviewed, and I'm sure you all will talk about it again, but I want to make sure I do it while I'm here. We've interviewed quite a few people for this
We
election.
need a list, man.
For the governor's race, we've done the delegates race and the senatorial race. We've done everyone for the governor's race except the Sheila Scallion lady.
Yeah.
Stallion.
I didn't even know she
Scullion.
was running.
Well, you know what? I won't lie to you, right? I watched the Channel 12 debate thing, right?
And you're
I
glad?
was like, oh, that's right. They got somebody else running. And does she ever run in, man?
She's supposed to, but I haven't heard.
I
who it
didn't even
is.
know the young lady was running until I saw the thing last night on Channel
Well,
12.
she running for governor. Sheila Scallion. I want to know who the 50 people be that signed her petition for she to run. That's why I want to inspect that petition.
I watched
Because
the debate that they had online, and
although she wasn't bad.
she wasn't bad.
She wasn't
but-
bad. I ain't gonna lie to you. She's a little eccentric, but she wasn't bad.
Oh, so she reminded you of a candidate we had last election? Clearly.
Yeah, she wasn't bad. But I think all of them that came before us, I think gave very good interviews. We had Donna and Basso, we had Map
And Potter.
Potter. We had Mona Barnes. Oh, we didn't have her running mate though. She only came for the
Right,
primary.
primary.
Yes.
But she was impressive when
Yes.
she was here. We haven't had a chance to talk to her running mate, and we had Soraya Dayasi and
who was
John
to me,
Cunningham.
who to me was very impressive as well. I didn't think that she would have been that impressive, but she
Yeah.
actually did impress me in
Yeah.
terms of her views and her upbringing and what's not,
Yeah.
and the things that she has in place or the plans that she have in place to address the issues plaguing the community.
Yeah, so that was very interesting for that group. I think that race is an interesting race,
Very interesting.
and it just seems to me that it's going to be kind of, I don't know,
Contentious? It's going to be
Not only
contentious.
It already is
contentious, it's already
contentious.
contentious.
Yes.
But it's gonna be tight.
It's going to
think
be
it's gonna be
tight.
tight?
And I think it's
I
going to
think
be.
it's going to force
I-
a runoff.
I don't know about runoff.
No, I don't think
but-
so.
I don't
but
think so either.
It may not be one of those widespread
We
beatings.
beat it.
We may not have a runoff.
But you
I
see,
know.
I'm going to tell you straight up, with that particular race, what turns me off most about that race
Dirty politicking.
is not a dirty politics. You can say the dirty politics, but it's the same old politics. I'm not hearing an issue-based campaign more so from the other side. They're not attacking the issues, but they're attacking the character of Mr. Mapp more so than
Well,
anything
I'm not
else.
sure if it's the other side. It's people who are claiming themselves to be with the other side.
And you know what? The die has been cast. They have already in the beginning said who they are supporting.
I agree.
So even to try to come back now and pull it back and say, no, we really, it's
Well, no,
too
I
late.
agree, but I just think it would be a little unfair to say that it's their campaign.
No, but hold on. When you have high-ranking members of the Democratic Party who are members of that particular group who's putting out all those disparaging ads, is to say that they and the nominee are not one of the same.
Exactly.
It's how can
Well, Cecil Benjamin said last week
that was on
that
air or off
he will
air?
come. No, he went on air. He is coming to the show for you to deal with him at the show.
No, but please.
And so we
No.
wait to see Cecil
Let's
Benjamin come
see.
back.
No,
I
I-
also want to share that he indicated that we did not invite him to
which
come,
is not
which
true.
is not true. And I had Nikki check, and he was called, emails were sent, and everything was
right.
sent, and he did not respond.
He did not respond.
And
Correct.
so we'll invite him again,
No, but
okay,
I-
Nikki? And he can come, and you all can hash it out
No problem,
when,
but
when he comes on the show.
Juan Figueroa Seville, former senator, wrote a very telling
Post.
post on Facebook. And I don't consider one of the greatest intellect in the Virgin Islands, but no, I'm not gonna say, I'm not trying to disparage him, but I never taught him. But his post was very insightful, and it came from somebody who felt it and who knows it.
Right.
And he told the party that, when the party starts to demonstrate
That they're for the people.
that they're for the people, I would gladly embrace the party once more.
And he was attacked viciously.
He was.
Wow.
Was it social
Through his
Facebook?
thread.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I have to say that because take note, Cecil Benjamin, a farmer union boss, AFT, Glenn Smith, wasn't he a farmer union man too?
Yeah.
They are mainstays in this party, and this particular party, the 8% cut. I didn't hear anything from those people who are members of this party. They didn't even hear any grumblings. The increasing grocery receipt
But
tax.
I hear all of that, and I hear you, and I agree with you. But the people who are benefiting, how you expect the people who are benefiting from the corruption,
change it.
from the exactly, how you expect that set of people to change it? The people, the educated people, or those who are supposed to check government. You understand? If the government themselves are hiring these people, and these people are living large after this particular government, why would they challenge or even change it?
And
that's the thing. So who does that?
But you see,
Who's the one that gonna come in place, and who's the one that gonna challenge these things?
that is the membership of all of these organizations that some of these men
necessarily. A lot
are
of the
leading.
membership are benefiting, though. That's my point.
No. The membership happen to be teachers. The membership happen to be some of us sitting on these tables. So a lot of these, we need to check them. Because none of us asked the question of VI Restore Hope. Where were you before this election?
But who is VI Restore Hope?
And that's another
Well, they
question.
weren't on our show.
That's another question.
So-
Who is VI Restore
I don't
Hope?
even know
I
that.
don't
All
know.
I
Well,
know
I
is the
didn't
name,
hear.
VI Restore Hope. I've never seen any membership or
And
anything.
let's be fair, who is Bismarck? Because they too are running ads, and we want to know who these people are. If you're
Well,
gonna
you have a chance to find out, and then when do I need to be here for when you come on the show?
who? Cecil?
Yeah.
No man.
Moderate.
No, man, I'm a rather respectful chap.
Change your seat. Like you go there, you come over here.
I'm a rather respectful
Okay,
chap. I
okay.
respect his position.
Let's talk about the senatorial race. We've interviewed quite a few people in the senatorial race. You know what I think will happen? There
Diane is out.
gonna be some surprises.
Actually,
Come November.
There could be some surprise, but I'm gonna tell you straight up. I'm seeing from what I couldn't tell you that I do believe Kurt and Novelle Francis are gonna pull some top seats in the St. Croix
I agree with
district.
that.
There are gonna be two shocking things that I want to focus. Either you're gonna see Nellie O'Reilly and Samuel Sanders either fighting for 6 and 7 seat, or you're gonna see the two of them out on election day. You may see the two of them
Add one
out.
more.
No, but
Wow.
I want to mention Senator Capon is technically out.
Okay,
Jesus.
sorry.
She's technically out because she's running 7.
And then she do that.
She's
too,
running 7.
Like, yeah, that's what I
No,
feel.
didn't
she's
look
running
good at
7,
that.
and she ran 7 in the primary. So I can't truly, honestly,
You're
the
not-
number,
you're not-
yeah, consider because the
not
numbers
contender.
does not say.
Okay.
It's not Clint Forrest. The numbers does not say consider.
Don't support it.
Right.
Yes. So I can't say it, but
Yeah, when you run that low in a primary,
correct.
it's difficult to go into a general election with that kind of and then now to go vote yes for.
For the
But,
street lights.
correct. And it's
I just don't. I don't understand.
and
that.
even though it's maybe an educated vote, you cannot explain that to the people. That's too much of a
Well,
visceral
let
issue.
me, you know, but the thing about it is, I've been hearing a lot of these explanations of this street light thing and how you know, the problem I have is that for the issues of property taxes, certain portions of your property taxes were assigned to these street lights, and the money was never paid. You took it. The money was never paid to WAPA.
Correct.
So
Okay.
where's that money?
And so my only question, which I don't know if I have an answer to it yet, my only question was, the $11 million that you owe, are you passing that on to the people to pay? Or are you still going to be responsible for it, and now going forward, we're just paying it to go forward? That's the part that I still have not understood yet.
And that's what we think. I mean, I'm still trying to understand that
But
myself.
it's not only that, they haven't even addressed how to even really take care of the street lights itself moving forward, because you have more street lights.
Why can't they be solar? So you don't have to pay for it.
Period. You understand?
Correct.
And then with this WAPA bill, I mean the landmass,
But,
St. Croix, I
but
mean,
it-
I'm sorry, they've shown before where with the road fund, St. Thomas got the lion's share, and you know, I mean, you need a tank to drive on our roads.
But my thing about it, there are many innovations that they can utilize, because the thing about this is not an issue that has not been dealt with on other
Right.
jurisdiction. You've seen reflectors put as part of the roadway. A whole heap of things have been done to deal with it, and it's just again lack of leadership and
Lazy
public works
thinking.
part, WAPA's part, and I'm going to tell you straight out, if there's an executive director that needs to be removed from leadership, it's Hugo Hodge. Hugo Hodge has served his purpose. He has served his time. He has done what he has done with WAPA. It's time he moves on and we start to do something different. And it's not about I dislike the gentleman or not, but I am saying the problem we have in leadership in our Virgin Islands, people stay in some of these positions too long.
So you want the legislature to do to the WAPA board like what they did to the hospital board then?
Excuse me?
You want the legislature to do to the WAPA board?
No, I think we need to start to put some limits on some of these people who serve in these positions.
Well, it's very, very interesting because, like I said, I think there are going to be some surprises come November.
Yeah.
Some shocking surprises.
That's the 7th.
I really do. What we're going to be thinking will happen, I think, will be very different.
Especially the ones balling push.
I don't know about that. I ain't saying nothing, but I'm just saying it'll be very different.
It's going to be, definitely it's going to be different. I think maybe this time,
she is,
in a long time, a lot of people are going to be able to say that who they voted for got in.
Okay. Well, we'll see what happens.
But it's going to be.
Well, we want to make sure that you all continue to have your voice and continue to be one of those individuals who are seeking to ask questions of the individuals who want to run for public office. And to ensure that you are informed and educated not only on the issues, but on the people who are asking for your vote. Be sure to go out and vote because it is extremely important that you do so. But it's also important that you look at the individuals running for the Board of Elections, because that's where it all begins, seeking for fair and transparent processes as we go through our election cycles. And it's important that you go down there and vote and ask your questions about people who are trying to do things to avoid you from being able to get the kind of vote and make your vote count. But remember to go out, ask the questions. Who don't want to answer your questions are people who don't want your vote. And to ensure that your vote makes a difference, you have to actually go out and do so. So get vexed and vote. Be sure that you go out there and ensure that your voices are heard because it makes a difference. Good night, everybody.